There is something common between you and me, and that something is we all have watched part 1 of this video, right? But still, if you haven't, I request you to go back and watch part 1 of this video. See, ये बिल्कुल भी सेंस नहीं बनेगा अगर आप किसी चीज़ के मैथमेटिक्स को पढ़ रहे हो बिना उसके फिजिक्स के पार्ट को पढ़े. You will not be able to connect the dots. So I request you to please do yourself a favor and go and watch part 1 of this video. And for those who have already watched part 1 of this video, congratulations guys, let's move to part 2 of this video. If you remember from my past part 1 of the video, I made a statement there. मैंने एक statement कहा था वहाँ पर. मैंने कहा था कि जब आप किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट को एक सर्टेन एंगल पर फेंकते हो तो वो हमेशा एक पैराबोलिक ट्रैजेक्टरी पर ही जाएगा. पर जब तक आप साइंस में किसी चीज़ को प्रूव नहीं करते उस चीज़ के कोई मायने नहीं होते. तो इस वीडियो के द्वारा मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि क्यों मुझे उस स्टेटमेंट पर इतना यकीन है. That means we are going to prove it. So let's get started. पर आगे बढ़ने से पहले it is very fair to ask ourselves a question, and that is how we humans recognize any shape. हम कैसे किसी shape का पता लगाते हैं? And the answer to that question is very simple, guys. Just by looking at it, right? Just देखने से हमें पता चलता है. For example, this shape right here. It looks like a circle, पर आंखें हमेशा सच नहीं कहती. कभी कभार ये धोखा भी खा जाती है, जैसे कि इस केस में. So it is very clear that we humans can't rely on our eyes. We need some advanced method, some different technique to recognize a shape or to identify any shape. And that's when mathematics come into rescue. Imagine for a moment that I have a 2D space or a 2-dimensional space. तो ये 2D space या 2-dimensional space क्या होता है? The simple x and y graph which you have studied in your school, like this one, is nothing but a 2D space. Now इसे 2D space क्यों बोला जाता है? Because अगर इस space में मुझे कहीं पर भी एक point को locate करना है, एक point को ढूंढना है, for example, if I want to find this point, then I need only 2 things. उसका x coordinate क्या है? Let's say it is x1, and उसका y coordinate क्या है? Let's say it is y1. So the position of this point is nothing but x1 comma y1. So if I move along this line, my x will vary. If I move along this line, y will vary. और इन दोनों के अलावा, इन दोनों लाइन के अलावा अगर मैं और कहीं पर भी मूव करता हूँ स्पेस में, then both my variable x and y will vary. So as you can see, this space is defined by 2 variables. 2 variable space को define करते हैं, x or y. So that's why we call this type of space as 2D space. The world in which we are living is a 3D space. Why? Because it has got length, it has got height, and it has got one more dimension, that is width. So it is defined by 3 variables. So इसीलिए जिस space में हम रहते हैं, it is called as a 3D space. Now, if I take an equation in which both the variable x and y are linear, for example, this equation. Now, when I say linear, I mean that maximum power of both the variable x and y should be 1. So you can see that it is satisfied in this equation. So we can call that equation as a linear equation. Now, अगर मुझे इस equation को यहाँ पर plot करना है, 2D space में plot करना है, then what will I get? अगर मैं इस equation को plot करूँगा तो how can I do that? How can I plot it? Just keep varying one of the variable. एक variable को vary करते जाओ और दूसरी variable की value find out करते जाओ. So you will get many points. उन point को connect करो. You will get the graph of this equation. Now, if I try to plot this equation, क्या मिलेगा मुझे? Well, when I try to plot this type of equation, I will always get a straight line, like this one. It will cut y-axis at 4, and it will also cut x-axis at 4. Now, if I take another equation, which will also be linear, but it will be different from this equation. Let's say it is x plus 5y equal to 10. So this is linear equation, but it is different from that equation. So अगर मैं इस equation को 2D space में plot करूँगा तो क्या मिलेगा मुझे? Well, the answer is I will always get a straight line if I plot any linear equation. So अगर इसको मैं plot करूँगा तो मुझे वापस एक straight line ही मिलेगा. Obviously, this and this line will be different, but the important thing to understand is that the graph which you will get will be a straight line. So it will cut at y, वो y को I guess it will cut at 2 and यहाँ पे वो 10 पे cut करेगा at x if I put y equal to 0. Now we can draw one conclusion from here that whenever we plot a linear equation in 2D space or a linear equation in 2D space, then I will always get a straight line. Now let's try to take this argument a little bit further. इसे थोड़ा और आगे लेके जाते हैं. Imagine for a moment that I have an equation in which my both the variable x and y, they have their maximum power as 2. उन दोनों की maximum power 2 है और उन दोनों की जो coefficients है वो है 1. Now exactly मैं क्या कहना चाहता हूँ? Let's take an example. Now this is what exactly I want to say. As you can see from the equation, आप देख सकते हो कि x और y दोनों की जो maximum power है वो है 2 और उनकी जो coefficient है that is 1. Now if I plot this type of equation in a 2D space, let's draw a 2D space. This is y. तो क्या मिलेगा मुझे अगर मैं इस इक्वेशन को 2D स्पेस में प्लॉट करूंगा तो? Well, I will get a circle, ladies and gentlemen. Take a graph paper, write this equation and plot it. And how to do it? I've explained just few minutes ago. So do it by yourself, you will end up getting a circle with radius as 2. Now if I take a similar kind of equation but a little bit different, for example, now as you can see from the equation, my maximum power of x and y is 2 and their coefficient is 1. Now again my question to you is, if I plot this type of equation, what will I get? Well, the answer is, whenever I'll try to plot such equation in which the maximum power of x and y is 2 and the coefficient is 1, I will end up getting a circle, always. But obviously this circle will be different from this one. It will come somewhere here, like this. But the point here to understand is, the important point to here understand is, if I take this type of equation, I will always end up having a circle. Now, what does this mean to a mathematician? This is very important to understand, because this is where the crux of our topic lies. If we want to reach to the final conclusion, this is very important to understand. What does this mean to a mathematician? Well, it means that every curve has its unique equation. So parabola being a curve, it should also have its unique equation, right? And what is that? Well, let's look at it. For parabola, one of the variable, either x or y, should be linear. Let's assume that x is linear and my y should be having maximum power as 2, or we can do vice versa. My y can be linear and x can be quadratic. That means its maximum power should be 2. What will be the example of this? Simple. Y square equal to x. And what will be the example of this? X square equal to y. So if I try to plot both this equation in a 2D space, let's try to draw a 2D space here. So this one will look something like this, and this one will look something like this. So x and y. So what is the takeaway from this? That every curve has its unique equation. Keep in mind, because now we are going to prove that whenever a stone is thrown in a parabolic, at a certain angle, it will always trace a parabolic trajectory. So remember this concept, because this is very important to understand. Okay, let's move to our final part.